Hello. Welcome back. Today, we'll be going over the castles of England, starting in the 5th century AD. Let us begin in the far north of England. Where stone walls rise against the chill winds, and the stories of kings and battles echo across the centuries. High above the North Sea stands Bambrough Castle. Its history begins as far back as 420 AD, when it was a Celtic fort. And by the 6th century, it became the royal capital for the Anglo-Saxon kings of Bernicia. In 1464, during the Wars of the Roses, Bambrough became the first castle in England to be defeated by artillery fire. Imagine the thunder of early cannons, stones crashing from the walls, and the once proud stronghold finally crumbling. A short distance south stands Alnwick Castle, built in 1096, just after the Norman conquest. In the 12th century, it was attacked twice. Once by King David I of Scotland, and again, decades later, during the endless border wars. In 1314, after the English defeat at Bannockburn, Scottish forces raided these lands again, and Alnwick's garrison braced behind its massive gates. Centuries later, the Percy family, who still owns it today, turned it into a symbol of wealth and power. And even now, its stone towers look more like a palace than a fortress. Moving west, we find Carlisle Castle near the Scottish border. Built by William Rufus, the son of William the Conqueror, in 1092. This fortress guarded the northern frontier for nearly 1,000 years. It was captured by David I of Scotland in 1135. It was besieged during the wars of Edward I and Edward III. And centuries later, in 1745, it became the last English castle to face a siege when the Bonnie Prince Charlie and his Jacobite army swept south. When the Jacobites were defeated, Carlisle's walls saw the execution of rebels. Their heads displayed as grim warnings. Heading south, we reach Skipton Castle. Begun around 1090 by Robert de Romel. For centuries, it was home to the powerful Clifford family. During the English Civil War, Skipton was besieged for 3 years, from 1642 to 1645. It became the last Royalist stronghold in northern England until its surrender to parliamentarian forces. Even now, its sturdy gatehouse and great hall remain almost perfectly preserved, a rare survivor of centuries of war. Moving east, nearby, stands Bambrough Castle, built around 1170, later owned by the Neville family. Here, a young Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who would one day become Richard III, grew up and trained in arms. After Richard's death at Bosworth Field in 1485, Nottingham began to fall into decay, but its massive stone keep still dominates the Yorkshire landscape. A silent reminder of one of England's most controversial kings. Farther south, in Nottinghamshire, we come to Nottingham Castle. First built in 1068 by William the Conqueror. It was a favored royal residence for King Richard the Lionheart, and the site of intrigue for his brother, Prince John. During the late 12th century. In 1642, when the English Civil War broke out, King Charles I raised his standard here, declaring war on Parliament. But after the war, the castle was demolished by the order of Parliament in 1649. This left only fragments until it was later rebuilt as a ducal palace traveling west, we arrive at Warwick Castle. Another of William the Conqueror's great Norman fortresses, built in 1068. It became the seat of the Earls of Warwick, most famously Richard Neville, the Kingmaker in the Wars of the Roses. In 1471, during the Battle of Barnet, Neville was killed while fighting for the House of Lancaster, and Warwick Castle, once the center of his power, passed into royal hands. Its towering walls and river defenses still show why it was one of the strongest castles in medieval England. In the capital city, we find perhaps the most famous of all, the Tower of London, also founded by William the Conqueror in 1078. Over the centuries, it has been a fortress, a royal palace, a prison, and the site of many executions. It held Anne Boleyn before her death in 1536, as well as the Lady Jane Grey in 1554. During the Wars of the Roses, the young princes in the tower vanished within its walls. Their fate still a mystery. Today, its white tower, ravens, and crown jewels stand as symbols of England's turbulent history. On the southeast cliffs Rising above the channel stands Dover Castle, often called the key to England. Its history begins with a Roman lighthouse. But its great stone walls were built under Henry II in the 1180s. It was a major stronghold during the First Barons' War in 1216. When it withstood a siege by French forces. Centuries later, during World War II, its medieval tunnels were converted into secret wartime headquarters where the evacuation of Dunkirk was coordinated in 1940. Few castles have seen so many centuries of continuous use, from medieval kings to modern generals. This is like our next castle. Finally, we come to Windsor Castle, the oldest and largest inhabited castle in the world. Also founded by William the Conqueror around 1070. It became a royal residence for nearly 40 monarchs. It was expanded by Edward III in the 14th century. It was transformed by Charles II in the 17th century and remains a royal home today. In its halls, treaties were signed, knights were created, and during the Second World War, the royal family quietly sheltered there while London burned during the Blitz. And so, from the wind-swept, chilled cliffs of Bambrough down to the royal halls of Windsor. These castles tell the story of nearly 1,500 years of English history. Each one has witnessed the rise and fall of kings, the clash of armies, and the quiet march of time. Let the quiet of their halls and the weight of their stories carry you into a calm, deep rest.